Hi, my name's Tom McNamara, and I am honored to be the mayor of the City of Rockford. As we come to a close of this year, it's kind of hard to believe that we're at this time frame, but I wanted to provide you a little bit more in depth about a host of issues that are taking place in our community. And to begin with, I want to talk about our finances. Without having a strong household and a financially sound city as an organization, we can't do so many of the things that we want to do out in our community to benefit you, our residents. So let's go back a couple of years. Back in 2017, I got elected and we were facing a $156 million cumulative deficit over the next 5 years. And so we got to work right away. We asked our employees, we asked business leaders, we then hired municipal finance experts with the use of a grant. And all three of these groups looked at our finances and provided us really valuable feedback. I'm proud to tell you today, we have now approved 7 budgets. And all 7 of those budgets have been balanced, like really balanced. Not the way that the federal government balances their budgets, but the way that we as municipalities must by law have balanced budgets. Not only did we balance these budgets, but we also have not increased property taxes yet again. That means since I've been mayor for the last 7 years, we've actually reduced property taxes in those 7 years. In addition to that, we created a reserve fund policy. And we've been putting away money into that reserve fund for what could be a rainy day. And I'm proud to tell you that we just went through an extensive process at the City of Rockford to discuss more than $40 million that we have in this fund, in this reserve fund, that is over what our policy requires us to have. And so we're looking to make investments throughout our community. And I'm proud to tell you, our city is financially sound. Just so you're aware, one thing that does concern me is our pensions. Our pension obligation has increased, and this is a concern I have if you look out into the future, which I think it's incumbent on myself and the City Council to do. And so when you think about our pensions, these are state mandated pensions for police and fire. I first believe that every single person who has signed up to serve our citizens, either in police or fire, they are absolutely due what they signed up and what they were promised in terms of a pension. But what is really taking place is, if you look back in 2013, we were spending about $9.5 million on pensions. This year, in 2024's budget, we are allocating $30.9 million. And if you go out to 2040, that number is going to increase to more than $90 million. So this is just not sustainable. So we've been putting money away, not just to do special projects, but actually putting money away in that reserve fund policy and in that reserve fund to actually put those dollars aside so that whoever she is that takes place after I'm mayor, that they are in a better position than I am today. In addition to finances, I want to talk to you about our neighborhoods. Our neighborhoods is where our residents spend the vast majority of their time, and we're investing heavily into our neighborhoods. A couple of things that we're doing is, number one, we've changed all the lighting in our neighborhoods to be LED lights. It decreases the maintenance costs for us as a city, saving us money, but it also improves the aesthetics of that neighborhood as well as the safety of that neighborhood. We're even putting more lights back into several of our neighborhoods. In addition to the lighting, we know that fighting blight is absolutely critical. So we have been demolishing between 80 and 120 properties each year that I've been mayor. But we're getting to the point that the properties that are in our neighborhoods no longer need to be demolished. They actually need to be rebuilt. So there's a couple of items that we've worked on to help rebuild these properties. One is we partnered with the Rockford Local Development Corporation and we created a community development financial institution that we leveraged our local funds as well as private funds as well as community foundation dollars, and we put these funds in this pool. And this pool of funding is used for local contractors to buy distressed properties, rehab those properties, and sell them to single-family owner-occupied residents. Between the Community Development Financial Institution as well as the NICDC, we've already rehabbed more than 100 properties in just the last 2 years. In addition to this, we've worked and created a land bank. In addition to the land bank, we worked with Winnebago County to change how they handled their trustee program. So many of the vacant lots in your neighborhoods, you may think that the City of Rockford owns them, but they're actually owned by the trustee. And there's an agent that is there to maintain those lots. And so we've been working to get those lots better maintained and to get those lots back into the private sector so that they can be functionally used and be productive properties in our neighborhoods and not dragging down our property values. Also, we partnered with Habitat for Humanity and we created a critical home repair program. The critical home repair program I think is really wonderful because we have so many residents in the city of Rockford who can pay their mortgage, they can pay their car note, but they can't pay when their front porch is failing, when their roof has a hole in it, when their windows are leaking. They have these critical home repairs. And so what we did is partner with Habitat and said, we'll provide a forgivable loan. If the resident just agrees to live in their house for 3 years, their loan will be forgiven. This not only helps that resident have the dignity of staying in their own house, but it also stabilizes that property for years to come. Because if we don't stabilize that and it further deteriorates, then we're going to be talking about potentially demolishing that home in the future, and that'll also be dragging down property values. So we're really investing in our neighborhoods. Another area that we're investing in our neighborhoods is infrastructure. We're doing about 230 neighborhood blocks every single year by investing in resurfacing or restructuring our entire neighborhood streets. We are also investing in one area that we often don't talk about, and that's water. Water system, you can just ask Flint. If you're not talking about it ahead of time, you're going to be dealing with a crisis on the back end. So we know that we have a tremendous amount of lead service lines in the city of Rockford. We actually have the second most lead service lines in the entire state. But one thing that we did early on in my administration is we said we are going to be paying for the lead service line from the sidewalk into the resident's home. This is typically a cost that's borne by the resident who owns that property. But we said we want to take that. We want to get the lead out of our system and help reduce the health hazards that it could cause to our residents and also reduce the financial barriers that our residents have when that, water main breaks or something of that nature takes place. I also want to talk to you a little bit about some of the work that we're doing again in our neighborhoods. Two areas I want to touch on is we know as we continue to have these conversations, it's really difficult for our residents to get around. So we've invested more in an active transportation section of our capital improvement plan. We've also invested into the Rockford Mass Transit District. And so right now, if you're a child from grades K through 12, you can ride our bus for free. If you're a veteran, you can ride our buses for free. One other area that we really have wanted to invest in for years, and now we're just doing so, is getting public art into our neighborhoods. We know art has tremendous power, has the power to heal us, has the power to turn blight into beauty. It can do so much for our neighborhoods. It can turn a blighted place into a gathering place. And so we are investing heavily with our partners at the Rockford Area Arts Council to put more local art into our neighborhoods. The last thing I want to touch on is, and I think I could probably put this in any section of my talk, is Rockford Promise. We know that communities that have lower educational attainment always have higher rates of violent crime. Those areas that have high rates of educational attainment always have more thriving economies. And so what we are doing is we partnered with Rockford Promise and Northern Illinois University and said, if you live in the city of Rockford, if your children go to Rockford Public Schools and they work really hard and they earn a 3.0 GPA, we are going to pay for them to get a 4-year degree at Northern Illinois University free. And so not only does that help those individuals who are going to get their education, but it also increases property values. So if you're like my parents who didn't send their kids to public schools, that's still good for my parents' home because when they go to sell it, it comes with a free 4-year degree. And this program is already having great success. We've already sent more than 250 children to Northern Illinois University to get a college degree in just 3 years. More than 60% of them are kids of color, and nearly 70% are first-generation college-going students. We must increase educational attainment in our community, and Rockford Promise is a great way to do that, and just one of the ways. I will also say we know that not every single child needs to go to college. So we've also created pathways for them, also building up our neighborhoods. So we spend millions of dollars each year building sidewalks in our neighborhoods. And so we partnered with a local minority contractor, and Pastor Albert Tank Weathers. And Pastor Weathers took 6 young at-risk adults, and he trained them on how to build sidewalks. And we at the city paid them $20 an hour to build those sidewalks. Now, fast forward 2 years, and each year they built more than 2 miles of sidewalks. And each year, every single one of those individuals went into a union apprenticeship program so that they can have a long-term career in the trades. This is good for our neighborhoods, building up our neighborhoods. It's great that we're working with a local minority contractor. And it's also wonderful for these youth who now have new hope and new opportunities by utilizing their hands and building a career for themselves. Want to talk to you a little bit about infrastructure. Last October, we approved the largest capital improvement plan in our city's history. That plan is more than $340 million. And in that plan, as I mentioned previously, we're investing more money into our neighborhoods. We're investing more money into taking lead service lines out. But we're also addressing all of the failing bridges that were in our community. When I got elected in 2017, we had nearly 17 bridges that were load restricted or were closed. This plan addresses all of those bridges. We are also investing in major roads in our community. If you look at South Alpine, that was recently resurfaced. If you look at Charles Street, that was totally reconstructed. And coming soon, you're going to see the Whitman Interchange being totally reconstructed. You're going to see School Street be reconstructed, and many other major thoroughfares in our community. I hope you don't get bothered by all the orange cones that you see, but sorry, not sorry with that one. I want to see as many orange cones out there as possible because our roads need the love, and you deserve high quality roads in your neighborhoods as well as in our business corridor. I also touch a little bit about water infrastructure, but I failed to mention to you that we have approved the largest water infrastructure plan in our city's history. That plan is more than $160 million that we're going to be investing into our water system. And we wanted, one thing that was really important to all of us, myself and the city council included, was we want to make sure that you have safe and affordable and clean drinking water. But we also wanted to make sure that it was really affordable. And when you talk about affordability, I'm proud to say that now an average family of 4 will get their water for just under $35 a month. Next item I want to talk to you about, now that we have quality neighborhoods, we're building on our infrastructure, we have long needed tremendous economic development. And 2023 has been the year of economic development in our community. A couple of items I'll touch on. And I won't be able to get to all of them. But one is Sci-Fi Networks. I'm sure you've seen it. They're starting to build fiber optic cable in front of every home, business, and organization in the city of Rockford. This is a more than $200 million investment with zero money in it from the city of Rockford. This is going to help reduce the cost of internet access for our residents. It's going to help bridge the digital divide in our neighborhoods. And it's also going to help us attract high-tech businesses to want to come here and start their business here in Rockford. And it's also going to be great for remote workers. And speaking of remote workers, what's better than having a train from Rockford to Chicago? We've secured the metro line from Rockford to Chicago. There's more than $250 million going into reinvesting into the rail lines from Rockford to Chicago. That first train is going to take off in 2027, and we're going to continue to hound the state to make sure that they meet their guidelines. But right now, as it stands, the first person is going to be jumping on that train in 2027, and that is going to be 2 trains a day, 7 days a week, in and out of Rockford, going to Chicago. In addition to that, we know that we have so many amazing people who have tremendous courage in our community who want to start their own business. So we partnered with Think Big, a women and minority entrepreneurial accelerator program. And we've broken ground on construction for Think Big to be at the former and long vacant Jerome Furniture Building near North Main in Auburn. That building will now house a small business incubator, also be an event space, and really provide that next level of education and resources to women and minorities who want to start and or expand their business. When you're thinking about businesses that have come to our city of Rockford, you have to think about the Hard Rock Casino. We have long wanted a casino in the city of Rockford, and after more than 30 years, we were able to deliver on that. The temporary casino is far surpassing all of our expectations, and the permanent casino is well on its way to completion and is bound to be completed in early October of 2024. This is really important because it's about 1,000 union construction jobs, and it's more than 600 full-time jobs with an average wage of $50,000 each year. And when you're thinking about other large businesses in the city of Rockford, you have to also look at Collins Aerospace. Collins Aerospace this year broke ground on a $50 million expansion for the grid. As many of us are thinking about, should we purchase an electric car? The folks over at Collins are way ahead of us as usual, and they're thinking about how to make aviation electric. And they're doing that right here in Rockford. This is the second of their major investments in just the last 30 months here in Rockford. The first was $50 million, now another $50 million. This is great because they have amazing employees who are dedicated to our community, and this shows Collins is dedicated to Rockford. Another company that's dedicated and are showing their rededication to our community is PCI. PCI off Linden Road is building 2 new buildings, about a total of just over 300,000 square feet with a couple hundred employees, and this is taking place at around the 4900 block of Linden Road. This makes them one of the largest employers in the city of Rockford with nearly 2,500 employees. PCI is a global company now. It once came from Anderson Packaging and today is this global company, and more than half of their global employees are from Rockford, and more than half of their global revenue comes from right here in Rockford. In addition to that, as you're out by Linden and you're thinking about things that are growing, you have to look at the Rockford International Airport. You think about this, in 2017, the airport housed about 4,500 jobs. Today, that airport houses 8,700 jobs and is expanding continuously each and every day. In addition to the airport, as you come down South Main, we broke ground this year on Barber Coleman. Barber Coleman is a more than 20-acre campus on the banks of the Rock River in southwest Rockford. This more than 20-acre campus has been vacant for more than 20 years and is really, if you drive by it, it just saps all the hope from you. But what's coming now is Phase 1A and Phase 1B in a partnership with Jay Jeffers, a more than $170 million partnership to bring more than 300 new apartments to that area, to bring key community assets to that area, to open up the river so that residents who live there as well as residents who live around there can come down and enjoy the Rock River right on the banks of southwest Rockford. In addition, if you further come down, you'll see the 700 block of South Main Street. Urban Equity Properties is turning mega fab facility from a former manufacturer into loft apartments. You go down to 300 block of South Main at 301, just next door to the BMO Center. It's brand new residential construction that opened this year. And it's luxury housing with retail and or restaurant on the first floor. Across the street from that is the BMO Center. The BMO Center, between the city and the state of Illinois, we've invested more than $23 million into this facility. And I'm proud to say our investments are working. It's better experience for fans. It's a better experience for the hockey players. It's a better experience for the world-class entertainment that now we're able to draw. And this is evident by in 2023, we had the best year in our history at both the BMO and our crown jewel, the Coronado Theater. And across the street from the BMO Center is Davis Park. Many don't know this, but Davis Park is the only park that the city of Rockford owns. And I want that park to be activated and open and welcoming to all residents. So we're working to invest millions of dollars into Davis Park so that it has boat docks, so that it has a skate park, so it has a playground, splash pads, and a stage that can have new acts so we can all go down to the banks of the river, watch a beautiful music performance right there on our greatest asset, the river. A couple of other items as I just close out, I want to say we're really fortunate. When you look on the west side of Rockford, Ingersoll is going gangbusters. They've expanded by more than $40 million and are building the world's largest telescope right here in Rockford. And other people are seeing what we're doing and they want to come visit. That's why visitor spending in 2022 was at its highest rate by more than $500 million of visitor spending. So this comes to the topic that I think probably most people want to discuss, and that's public safety. Public safety is my top priority, and public safety I think is your top priority or your biggest concern. I want you to know we're going down two parallel tracks when it comes to public safety. Number one is the typical enforcement that many of us, or I should say at least I think of when I think of public safety. That's your police, that's making sure that they have the tools and resources they need. We're investing there. We're actually increased our budget by more than 40% since I've been mayor of Rockford. And that includes budgeting for more officers, purchasing more than 150 mobile and stationary license plate readers. That includes more than quadrupling the number of cameras that are in our community. That includes purchasing social analytics software as well as gunshot detection software, body cameras and dash cameras. We want to make sure that our officers have every single thing that they need to do their job effectively, efficiently, and safely for them and our community. In addition to that, I think I've read every single state of the city going back to the early 80s, and almost all of them say the same things when it comes to crime. We have too much crime, our kids need more activities, and maybe we need more streetlights. Well, folks, if we're going to continue to do the same thing, we're going to continue to get the same results. So not only are we investing on enforcement, but we said, let's get to the root causes of this problem and stop the cycle of violence that has plagued our community for decades. So we're investing millions of dollars into intervention and prevention efforts. Number one, you should know more than 40% of all of our violent crime in the city of Rockford is domestic violence related. So we opened up the state of Illinois' first Family Peace Center, and they provide with more than 34 partners under one roof. They provide services that a survivor and their children need right there on the spot. We also know that our youth are not, they're not okay. Our youth are impacted by the trauma that they're seeing in their households. And we need to wrap our arms around those youth and provide them the love and resources they need and they deserve. When you look at all the violence taking place by youth in our community from 2016 through 2022, between 60 and 75% of those young people that we arrest grew up in a household where there was physical or sexual violence taking place. So what we have done is we've partnered with Rockford Public Schools and developed programs like Handle with Care. So we notify the school system if a child has been impacted by trauma. We also have either partnered, expanded, created, or funded more than 20 different programs in the last 2 years, all focused around youth. We have to certainly catch those violent criminals who are committing violent acts in our community, and we do that on the enforcement side. But we also have to provide hope and opportunity for the young people so that we do not continue to see this same cycle. And that work that we're doing is paying off. Since 2017, we've seen more than a 17% reduction in violent crime, and we've seen about a 5% reduction in property crime. We have a long way to go. I know any crime is too much crime. I know one murder is too many murders. I know all of these things, but we need to continue to make progress, and we have to stay the course on those things that are working in the short term, as well as those things that are showing statistically that they are working for us in the long term. Again, my name's Tom McNamara. I really have the best job in the city. I'm honored to be the mayor of the city of Rockford, and I thank you for entrusting me with this tremendous responsibility, and I hope you and your family have a wonderful end of the year.